Hey guys, welcome back to the Batcave. So, we're actually in the Batcave today. It's a little chilly in here, but we'll get through it. So today I wanted to talk about this amazing series that I just finished through Amazon Prime. It's called The Man in the High Castle. Now, I haven't had the opportunity to read the book yet, so I know from reading the synopsis of the actual novel, which was written in 1962, which is the baseline for the actual book. And that's what makes it so interesting. Because if you think about it this way, this book is being written in 1962 and takes place in 1962. And that's not very common in those days, especially when you think about it. This book is considered not only historical fiction, but also sci fi in the sense of what takes place. Now, hopefully by the beginning of the year, I'll be able to read the book, and then maybe we'll talk about this again because it is actually really interesting. If you haven't checked out the series yet, it is an Amazon Prime original, so go ahead and get Amazon Prime if you don't already, or someone's login information so you can watch this. Like I said, the series takes place in 1962. It is a alternate outcome of World War II. So something that isn't discussed in this series, but is in the actual synopsis, like the back cover of the book, this is about what would have happened if the Nazis had won World War II. And like I said, in the series, it doesn't actually go into detail about what happened. But in the book, it talks about how one of the main reasons why America didn't win World War II was because FDR was assassinated in 1934, before Pearl Harbor, before America actually started giving aid to Europe. And I want to say that because it didn't in the series. And I know I keep saying that, but even in the first season, I was kind of questioning, okay, well, what were the events that led up to the fact that we didn't win in this alternate universe? And you don't really get, you know that FDR is assassinated, but you don't know when. And if you're into history like I am, you know that FDR is one of the only presidents in the United States history that served more than 2 terms. Because after his second term, he was elected a third time due to war times. And also, many of us know that FDR actually did pass away in office before World War II ended. And that's why when our troops were being brought home, the President of the United States at the time was Truman. So for me, as a historian, I was wondering, okay, well, FDR did die in office. So, but how does that correlate into obviously, like, there is no such thing as D-Day. There is no such thing as, like, the liberations of the camps in Germany and Poland. Like, what does that have to do with it? And you have to go back into even just like I said, the synopsis of the book, and realize that when FDR was assassinated, had a huge deal into the fact that the Allies didn't win because of time. So back to this amazing series. So you meet Juliana Crane in the first season. Now, from what I've seen about the book reviews, she is not Juliana Crane when she is introduced in the book. She is actually married to one of the other main characters that you meet in the first season. His name is Frank. And in the series, they are more so like a couple, where in the book, they're actually married. And they live in the Japanese occupied area of San Francisco. So Germany has controlled their Reich for a majority of what we now consider like the Midwest and the East Coast. So pretty much anything east of the Mississippi is Germany. And then there's this weird like gap in the middle. Most of the states that are mentioned are Montana and Wyoming. So I'm guessing it's like this weird little strip next to or near the Mississippi. And then everything west of that is Japanese occupied area. Think of in our history where the Japanese internment camps were in the 1940s, around the time of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that area. So the first season, I would say, is more along the lines of historical fiction and what would have happened if the Allies had lost. But it starts to show you a little bit of the sci-fi-ness like midway through the season, where you get Juliana's sister. She is killed by the Japanese military because she has this film. And before she is killed in the streets, she is able to pass along this this film to Juliana. And so she's like, well, I want to know what is on this film that got my sister killed. And so she watches it, and it is a film of what we know our worlds as today. Japanese, or the bombs in Japan, the Allies winning. You just see this alternate America that we know. And she kind of questions, like, where is this coming from? And then later on, I want to say in the first season, possibly the beginning of the second season, you do meet the trade minister, Tagomi. And later on, you learn that he is a traveler. So a traveler is someone who is of a specific timeline, and they travel into this alternate timeline. So Togome, he is the trade minister for Japan. He is stationed in San Francisco in California, and he works with the Reich in order for peace among the two nations within America. And so later on, when you find out he is a traveler, it is because he is not of this timeline. In this timeline, his family died in the war. They were casualties of war, his wife and his young son. And in the timeline where he is actually from, where America wins, or the Allies win, his wife is still alive. His son is probably in his 20s now, since it's 1962 as opposed to 1945. And he meets a different version of Juliana Crane, and she is actually married to his son, and they have a child together. So it's just this weird, there's a point in time where through the films from The Man in the High Castle, they learn that if this one specific person, he keeps showing up in the films, and if he doesn't die, then there's going to be a ripple effect. And it also happens in season 4 where they realize that this one specific character, he is a ruthless military man. He is climbing the ladder of the Reich, and if he isn't stopped, there's going to be catastrophic events. There is threats of more concentration camps, work labor camps, pretty much gas chambers. There's this huge threat if he's not taken out, and it gets to this scene where he is this specific character is finally taken out, and the rest of the Reich are pretty much like, I'm done. I want to go back to the America that I loved 30 years ago. This is nonsense. Like we can't have this anymore. And once they get word that this character has died, there are planes heading for the West Coast, bombs to be dropped, and the new leader or whatever takes off his swastika and calls the airstrike force, and you just see the planes diverge. Now, I will say something about this show that you see in the 4th season that my brain didn't think about at first. And it kind of makes me a little sick inside to not think about of this time period, because I will honestly say I had lack of information. So when most people think of the 1960s, most of them automatically go to hippies, Vietnam, but most people, I want to say, of my complexion, put this specific event in the 1960s at the bottom of their list of things that they think of. And I will be honest, I feel like a horrible human being when the specific thing didn't pop into my head about the 1960s until the 4th season. And that is, where are all the African Americans? It's 1962. In the 4th season, you will see a glimpse of what we know of as the civil rights movement. And it makes me sick inside that my lack of knowledge of the civil rights movement made it so I didn't even think of it. Because you figure in the 1960s, President Kennedy was alive. He was alive in 1962. He was assassinated in, I believe, 1963. But in the back of my head, I didn't ask the question, where is Martin Luther King in all of this? Where is Rosa Parks? Where is Malcolm X? Where are all the people shouting, "Go back to Africa"? Where are the Black Panthers? Where are all of these people? And throughout the season, you realize that these people, these wonderful human beings who fought for our country in multiple wars, were given freedom that wasn't actual freedom, were killed in work camps, in concentration camps, and they were pretty much exterminated by the Reich. And there were some of them from the neutral zone that finally were like, the hell with this. And I guess the scene that really struck it home was when one of the leaders of the Black Rebellion found an original American flag with 48 stars, because mind you, it's from 1940s, so it doesn't have the star for Alaska and Hawaii. But one of the leaders makes the comment, why do I need this flag? This country that flag stands for, what did it do for me? I was never free under that flag. And it makes sense. Because even in the 1940s, even during World War II, we still had black and white battalions. We still had segregation. We still had all of these horrible things that still creep into the world today in 2019, almost 2020. And it made me sick to not even think of that group of people. Because in my head, I thought they were fine. I didn't think of what would have happened if Germany won to this group of people I figured that they just lived the way that they did today. Until I remembered that Germany exterminated not only Jews, but gypsies, blacks, people who weren't pure. So, on that note, I guess I will be studying my American history a little bit more. But like I said, I personally think that this series is a good one to watch for this day and age, especially because of everything that is happening in this world right now. And maybe we don't have the Reich in America, but we do have forces of evil that creep into our country every day. So go. Watch Man in the High Castle. It's only 4 seasons long. This was the final season. They're about 10 episodes apiece at an hour apiece. It might take you a few weeks if you don't binge watch it like I did. But watch it. We need it. All right. Well, I'm going to let you go. But I really hope you watch this. And if you don't watch the series, go ahead, check out the book. It's called The Man in the High Castle. I don't remember the author's name, but the publication should be for 1962. And I'm guessing that a lot of the covers have been recently updated from the Amazon series. So you can check that out as well. But yeah, let me know in the comments below if you plan to watch this and what you think about this alternate universe. And I will check back in next time with you in the Bat Cave. So hit that like button, subscribe, share if you'd like, because this is some type of history that we really need to watch. Have a great night, everyone. I'll see you next time in the Bat Cave.